everything that we know about Monsters We Make by Coryxkenshin. And by the way, this manga is one of the best manga I've read in a long time, and I freaking love One Piece, okay? One Piece will not be beaten by Monsters We Make anytime soon, but the lore, the fights, the power system, it is absolutely incredible. Normal humans, well, I guess they're not normal. They have things called tunings, but we're going to get into that because I literally did a breakdown of every chapter that's available right now in the digital copy, and there's 8 chapters. I love Monsters We Make. I'm now obsessed with it. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, the entire team. And by the way, he dedicated this manga to Akira Toriyama, Sensei Toriyama, the god of manga, and the mangaka of Naruto called Akira Toriyama the god of manga. I stand with that. Let's go ahead and talk about the setting. It takes place in New Eden in 2114. In New Eden, by the way, called New Eden because it was built off of Old Eden. And there was a thing called the Eternal Night. And during the Eternal Night, the powers that be in Old Eden leveled whole districts. It was like a form of population control, but they also wanted them to know that even though there was no light, they still had power. That's some crazy stuff, but we're going to get into that. Let's go ahead and start off with our main character, Jabari Booker, who is an absolute amazing character. I love how cocky he is. I love how he's shouldering so much responsibility. I love that he doesn't give up, and he in pressure is where he thrives, because that's where he can allow himself to get to the next level, to go beyond plus ultra, to reach, the unreachable. And that's what I love about Jabari Booker. By the way, I love his dad too. We're going to talk a lot about his dad because I love his dad. And by the way, this, obviously this is happening in 2114. There's been a lot of wars. There's been a lot of AI stuff going rampant. There was the Eternal Night that happened in 2097, which was 17 years before 2114. And it happened for 2 weeks, the Eternal Darkness, 2 weeks. And it was like kill or be killed, no light, no electricity, no world order for 2 weeks. And people during that time have special powers. They're called tunings, and we're going to get into that because it has a lot to do with the actual story and how everything happens in this amazing, amazing story. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into, I guess, chapter 1. But by the way, there is one place that we know that is confirmed outside of New Eden, and that's called Night Plate. Night Plate. And if you live there, every night you're choking on the air. Whereas in New Eden, you're not choking on the air. So then New Eden, amazing job opportunities. And if you get accepted into NEA, the New Eden Academy, you are allowed to move to New Eden. And as a matter of fact, Jabari's dad gets to work for Sanada. And that's the people you want to be working for. However, Sanada is kind of like a modern day Prometheus, because they are the hope of mankind. And Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind. This is an amazing series, Corey. I know you're proud of it. We're all proud that you made it. And I am just mind blown by how incredible the story is. I love it. I absolutely love it. They fight monsters called leakers. Let's get into that. But chapter 1. I also love how there's a verse from Genesis. If you'll indulge me. I'm really trying to talk low because my microphone sucks. And it's not the microphone's fault. Kind of, actually. That's the wrong phone. Let's go ahead and get this phone. I'm sure I'll edit this out. I won't edit it out. I'm going to leave it trash and just upload this whole thing. Monsters We Make. Here we go. Read the manga. Oh, I got to go all the way to... Yeah, sorry, I read the whole thing. I literally all day today I've just been reading it. It's so good. Can't wait for the next one, Corey. I know you guys are like busy. When's the next one dropping? 8 chapters, by the way. Guys, can I read this real quick? This is actually from Coryxkenshin. I don't even know if I'm allowed to read this, but I love his heart. Up, down, up, down. Sorry. In the name of my Lord Jesus Christ, by the way, I'm a Christian. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I became a Christian at the age of 17. I was raised Catholic. So I thank God for guiding me and giving me the opportunity to work on a project this exciting and fulfilling. To my family, friends, and precious samurai, I've been a samurai for years, thank you for your love and patience. And to my incredible team, Corey, Andrew, Elias, there is no monsters we make without you. Vince and Robbie, you're the best. Thanks for priming to max on this. And by the way, priming to max, I'm glad he brought that up. Priming to max is when they use their full ability later on in their suits. Okay, sorry. As I'm rereading this, it just makes sense. I dedicate this first volume to Akira Toriyama. Words cannot express the impact your stories, especially Goku, had on my childhood. Z Goku was just different. Haha. Anyway, thank you for inspiring me to create a story of my own. Rest in peace, Toriyama-san. Finally, dear reader, please enjoy your stay in New Eden and watch yourself. Sanana is discontinued. Or disconnected. Disconnected. Sanada basically runs this world that we're about to go into. But let me get into... sorry about that. Let me get into the verse from Genesis. Chapter 1, Enter the New Mid-Year. Because Jabbar Booker is a mid-year. He's also the first transfer in 2 years. So since 2012, or 2112. And there's a verse from Genesis 2:9, and I don't remember any other verses throughout the chapters. It was just on this one chapter. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And remember, it is because Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that they were kicked out of Eden. Oh my gosh, it makes so much more sense now. Oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense now. Corey. Oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense now. In the trailer, it says, but there's no escape, because once you get there, you are forced to defend your family by fighting leakers and doing what Sanada wants you to. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it is because they ate, I think, a pomegranate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil that Adam and Eve were kicked out of Eden. God, that makes so much sense. Let's go ahead and get into the first chapter. I've got so many notes here. I do apologize. This is going to take a while. This is going to be a very long video. But in the first page, we learn about Sanada. Sanada is the biggest corporation in New Eden, actually in the world, sorry. It's tech, pharmaceuticals to education, most advanced. And I implied that they own New Eden Academy, and they kind of do. Sanada's the hope of mankind, and I put page 1 of the sample, it was actually page 1 of the manga. And then we learn about the Eternal Night that happened in 2097. Sanada is the modern Prometheus. Got into that already. There's fear of the night due to monsters called leakers. I say that there's fear of the night because it's kind of heavily implied by the store clerk, who we learn that store clerk used to work for Sanada, which I think that everyone in New Eden, I think once you get to New Eden, or if you've ever worked for Sanada, you can then become leakers. They might have something in the water. They might, because it's always raining. That's why I think like the rain might affect them, or there might be something like when you work for Sanada, like even Jabari's dad. I had all of his stuff written down because I really like his dad. Sean Jeffrey Booker, blood type O negative, NOK Imani. Next of kin is Imani. Oh, is Imani his mom's name? I didn't know that. Yeah, that would make sense because Imani is mentioned also later in like a text message that they show. Yeah, Imani is Jabari's mom. Okay, Imani Booker. Okay. He also has a sister. Date of birth was 9/29/2074. I didn't even think to like, what age would that make him? Hold on. 21/4, take away 2074. He's 40 years old. Okay, his dad is 40 years old. I am so sorry I have to do this, but I have to update the thing. Age, I don't know why I didn't do this. Oh, because I was reading it. 40. His dad is 40. That's a good age. I turned 40 this upcoming year. He's a senior security officer, and his manager is Jameson? T. Jameson? I like that. Like we got some Jameson stuff going on, Spider-Man stuff going on. But anyway, the store clerk at the stop shop, because there's this group, and I can't remember what group they belong to. They're from NEA, New Eden Academy. Their group is called. I would have to find it. I know it's in here. I just don't remember what their group is called. But they were white. Is it Delta? It might have been because I think the dean was talking to Detective Kane about it. I think Detective Kane investigating disappearance. Delta. It is. Delta led an unsanctioned hunt, and that happens in which chapter is this? Chapter 2. Okay, we get a lot of information in Chapter 2, but let's get back to Chapter 1. We learned that B here is kind of like X or Twitter, and the stop shop clerk is using B here, and a lot of people like follow him. And we know what his name is. His name is Rafi Zuri. But there's also a podcast that another guy listens to, and that's not the guy's name. The podcast guy. We're getting way off topic. I am so sorry. Let's get back to Chapter 1. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the store clerk ends up being a leaker, and he wipes them all out. Not only that, but apparently he did such a good job at cleanup that they just couldn't. They didn't even know where like they disappeared from. But Detective Kane has a suspicion that it was that guy that did it, and we're going to get into that a little bit. Um, oh yeah, Nala Maddox, last seen January 12th. We don't know what year, but anyway. Um, oh, I even put for Corey Kenshin's dad because like Corey's having, or sorry, not Corey Kenshin, Jabari Booker's dad is cool. He has glasses. He might be between 38 and 48. That's what I put down. He goes by Pops. He's very loving. He loves his son, and his son Jabari loves him. And we're going to get into his connection later because his dad gave him a gift that changed his life. It's amazing. Jamari Booker works for Sonata. We already talked about that. He's a senior security guy. They moved 3 times in 1 year, and the last place they were was the Night Plate, a place called Night Plate, where they would choke on the air at night, choke on it. Ugh, I can't imagine what kind of place, like is inside of New Eden, the air is clear. Outside of New Eden, it's terrible. It's desolation. It's just bad, and the world is, trying to come back from that misery. Oh, it looks like Liam, because when Jabari gets to school, it looks like Liam like attacks him and then like pulls him away from a car. Yes, it attacks Jabari out of nowhere, then saves his life. And then we get into chapter 2. We learn that Rebs are shoes that are kind of like Jordans. The word numlock is used a lot, and it's derogatory. It's like idiot, dumb. There's also another word later on, but we'll get into that later. It's the same stuff. It's just like calling somebody stupid, and actually it looks a lot like that one. There's a big dude named Fane. He only comes up like a couple of times in these very early chapters. I think it's just in chapter 2 that Fane is even mentioned. He bumps into a dude, and like he's very aggressive. He looks like a cross between Clouds from um, from Final Fantasy VII and Colonel Guile from Street Fighter. That's kind of what he looks like. Um, we find out that Liam knows about Jabari, and he even told September about Jabari. And you meet these people immediately. They are incredible. I love them. Liam is like the leader that everybody needs. He's like the Kakashi sensei that everybody needs. And September is like she's very kind. She's very considerate, and she's always worried about people and loves plants. And that's going to get into her tuning later on. We're going to talk about her tuning when we get to tunings. Oh, and Liam was also a mid-year. So he knew about Jabari because Jabari was also a mid-year. Jabari played in the All-State New Eden Pharmaceutical First Chair Lamont's Concerto in A minor, which is his hardest arrangement. Jabari, beat people training their whole lives, practicing their whole lives. He beat them. He just waltzed in and beat them. And we're going to get into his tuning, up his tuning. Nano means easy because he says it's nano. Um, September is the healthiest. She has a green thumb. She eats old people cereal, no sugar, possibly vegan. I mean, because if she's only eating cereal, that's vegan, unless she's adding milk. Vegetarian? I don't know how vegans and milk maybe it could be like soy milk, because soy milk would be like, yeah. And I also said there's like possibly a love triangle between September, Jabari, and Liam. I now don't think that. I don't. I think it would just be Jabari in September because like learning about Liam has changed my mind on that. Um, he's just kind of the team leader, you know, and especially his comments from the last chapter, chapter 8, or maybe chapter 7. I think it's chapter 7 or 7, 8. You know, like he doesn't even remember a childhood. He's just been doing this for so long. And we'll get into what this is. NEA is gorgeous. New Eden Academy is amazing. It's vast. It's huge. There's these sprawling staircases. There's incredible technology. There's floating robots, kind of like the one from Borderlands. Um, but obviously they have more of a purpose than the one in Borderlands. Oh, Fane bumps into September and is immediately afraid of her and apologizes. And because September's like, what? And Fane, that big guy from earlier, looks like Cloud, was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you, type deal. So I'm thinking Fane might belong to another group of hounds, and we'll get into that shortly. Jabari scored so high that he has to retake the aptitude test, but that's not true. And we'll get into why here in a second. He has to go take a second test. So he's scored it, and we actually learned what September's last name is in that scene. It's Ingram. September Ingram. So he goes to see the Madam Dean, who is Rin Nagamoto. And we don't know what Rin's last name is until the very next chapter. But it's Madam Dean, or Rin Nagamoto. She's the Dean of Students. Mrs. Pierce is her secretary. They have a good working relationship. She has an amazing raincoat in the next chapter. And Coach Lars handles the training. So he now has to go see Coach Lars to take the aptitude test. And that's important because it shows just how amazing they are without any suits. Jabari is the first transfer. We also learned that he's the first transfer in 2 years. So since 2112. There's a devium building, and the devium is really just this massive, kind of like X-Men type training ground. Think about your gym, but in your gym, just anything can appear at any time. It's like really cool looking. Oh, and then we get a flashback of, because Jabari can hear everything. He's like Superman. I don't know how close or how far away his range is, but he can hear everything. And he doesn't like the way that people talk about his dad, but sitting in front of him in this flashback is an action figure of Super Saiyan Goku. I love it. I love it. Remember, this is dedicated to Akira Toriyama, who passed away sadly this year. May he rest in peace. And, oh, Kimberly Booker is Jabari's sister, Kimberly. I love when they go through like the dad's dislikes, and one of them is the thought of having more kids. We all get there as dads. We're like, can we have another kid? Like, it's time, money, And this is where Jabari's dad hands him the headphones. And it's so sweet because it gives him songs to listen to, but the only song that Jabari's dad wants to listen to is the song his son makes. And he wants it to be one that his son, that Jabari, is proud of. I love that. That's so amazing to me. It's so, It's so heartfelt. And then we learn about Detective Kane investigating the disappearance of the Stop Shop incident, but really he's investigating the disappearance of these upperclassmen from NEA, New Eden Academy. Um, and then you see Madame Dean, who is talking to Liam, and she said, Delta led an unsanctioned hunt. Now, I don't know if Delta was all three of those people or just two of those people that got eaten by the Stop Shop ex-Sonana employee clerk. We don't know. But it's definitely two of them. And they're called hounds. The soldiers of the Dean, or maybe Sonada itself, because the suits that they're wearing are from Sonada, are called hounds, and they hunt. And then ends with Liam saying, we'll take care of it, but I need a favor from you. Then we get into chapter 3, the aptitude test. There's a guy on the floor talking to Kaylee, like making little signs and stuff on the floor, and he's talking to Kaylee. We learn that the Devium is a massive gym. Coach Lars is missing a finger. He's literally missing a finger. I felt bad for Coach Lars. Ice down means to calm down. So Jabari takes the aptitude test, okay? And he nearly breaks the school record. Now we find out in, I believe, chapter 8 who holds that school record. Alicent holds the school record, and we're going to find out more about Alicent because she's incredibly powerful, and that's her tuning. And to have a tuning, you have to be born under the endless night, but we'll get into that. Jabari says, nah, I'ma do me, when talking about like keeping his powers, his abilities down. And it reminded me of Miles Morales, or Leek's World, who says, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, or I'm gonna do my own thing. I loved it. The NEPD, the New Eden Police Department, we learn that Dean Rin Nagamoto, but Detective Lucas Kane, who has a scar on his face and he's missing the front part of his arm, and he has like a next to a picture of his wife and daughter, there's a robotic arm. And we have some tragedy that happens with his wife. He has on his wall, NEA is circled. 8 months, another set of upperclassmen missing, all EN students. And EN means endless night. So he knows there's a connection between the endless night, the NEA, the New Eden Academy, and Kane's wife probably died or went missing during the endless night, because he said, well, they probably lost people too. Her name is, or was, Taylor. We learned that the store clerk, Rafi Zuri, was fired by Sonada, undisclosed reason. The Stop Shop is actually in one of the worst areas of New Eden. Kimbrick is the person, like, is his colleague, probably his partner on the job at the NEPD, and he likes Lisa from booking. Now, this is very interesting. Kane knew Lisa's dad before the reset, which might be another name for the endless night. I don't know. And he says that she's a good kid, and so are you, Kimbrick. Coach Lars likes Jabari, not like likes, but like likes, likes him. Like you know, he's a good guy, good guy. Um, Day's team. Okay, they bring up Day's team because they're talking about Day's team and it like an SOS, and we find out we actually find Day's team in a couple chapters from now. Yeah, um, very sad what happens to Day's team, and we actually see a little bit of that at the beginning of, I believe, the next chapter or so. Hold on, let me take a look real quick. Because it's at the very beginning, maybe chapter 4 or chapter 5, one of these chapters. Because he's getting everything explained to him. I think it's called The Truth. Or no, because the dean is trying to tell him, Jabari, the truth. By the way, these manga panels are absolutely incredibly made. Okay, so it's at the very beginning of chapter 4, Truth versus Escape, and it shows this little pigeon on a branch. I love it. I guess I haven't really talked about the pictures that much on the chapter, like the chapter prefaces. Like chapter 3, the aptitude test shows a baby bird in a nest. I like that. That's cool because he's a baby bird and he's getting ready to learn about the real world that he's stepping into. And the real world he's stepping into is very scary. The picture on chapter 2, let me go ahead and get to it, is a nest with eggs. I like that because eggs can become that bird or they can be used to make food. Very interesting. Oh my gosh, Coryxkenshin. An egg can become a chicken where it can produce more food. It can become a living animal, or you can eat the egg. Oh my gosh, Coryxkenshin, this is so good. I don't know why I didn't write that down. God, he's so freaking smart. Oh yeah, there's also like this guy keeping an eye on them. I don't know who this is. This might even be this same person in chapter 8 that's keeping an eye on him. I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of this. I'm going to swing on over to the end of chapter right before the mini episode. It doesn't look like the same person. It doesn't. It's probably two different people. Yeah, could be. I don't know. Is that just the dean? Oh, wait a minute. I think this is just the dean. Never mind. Alright, let's get back to this. Let's get back to what I wrote down. Coryxkenshin, the egg. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so Han and September are having a conversation with Liam and Alicent. Han is a tech guy, and we learn that's his tuning. Alicent and Jabari, they have like this animosity towards each other because Alicent believes that she's better than Jabari, and we don't find out why that is until later, and then we learn that Alicent has like all the records. Cory as the reporter in a panel. Okay, so Jabari goes to see the dean, and the dean wants to tell him the truth. And the truth of why he's there, the truth of what he needs to do. And you can see Coryxkenshin as the reporter for Nen, New Eden News, in a panel. It's the same little thing that Han was watching in the trailer. So good. And then we got chapter 4, Truth versus Escape. Now, I should probably like look at these pictures more. So let me go over to chapter 4's picture real quick, because I now am more interested in these pictures because the meaning of these pictures on the chapter is so good. Okay, yeah, it's the bird on the branch. Like it's just learning how to fly. So good. So good. Truth versus escape. Very interesting. Okay, and it shows Day's group somewhere new near Eden. And we find out somewhere is actually underground. It's in Eden. It's in Eden. But, like, not New Eden, because New Eden was built on top of Eden. The Leakers are the physical manifestation of a supremely demented outlook on life. So, they don't know what they know that there are triggers, they just don't know what the triggers are. And it's very specific between leaker to leaker. But when they do become a leaker for the first time, they get a mark on them, and it's the exact mark from the monsters we make. Oh, hold on, I don't know. This is probably going to be blurry. Oh no, it shows here. So it's actually it's this mark right here. It's that mark right there, and that mark imprints on their body somewhere, and it won't go away. So even when they turn back to a human, which they can, that mark will be on their body. So Jabari is being recruited. He can turn all this down, but if he turns all of it down, he's forcing his family to lose their jobs, any of them. And I believe that they're still allowed to live in the city because the store clerk was fired by Sanada, and he was still allowed to work for the city, or live in the city, but in one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. The Tau team, we learned about some other teams. The Tau team was wiped, and they show the leaker that did that. The MU team was wiped, and they show the leaker that did that. And we learn that the Gamma. Oh, we learned that there was a leaker, one of which unalived 6 people before, and Gamma team took it out. I don't know who's on Gamma team. Maybe, although I doubt it because I think Alpha team is far better. Maybe Fane is on Gamma team. I don't know. I just don't know. But Alpha team is Liam, September, Han, and Alicent. And now, Jabari. Leakers can shapeshift, talked about that. The world belongs to Sanada. The world belongs to Sanada. Jabari thinks this is part of a psych test and is mad. Sanada is using kids to fight. Like, he's very angry that they're using kids to fight rather than the army or the NEPD. We learn later that the NEPD is not really equipped to be fighting leakers. Team Alpha is without suits. They're kind of doing their own reconnaissance. There's something called Haze that is some sort of recreational DRUG that kids use in New Eden. Because, and I don't think I mentioned this, but Detective Kane and his friend they went over to the stop shop to stake out the stop shop. They're looking for the ex-Sanada employee. They want to follow him. Maybe he's got a lead to the missing students. That's what they think. So Team Alpha actually goes over there, and they're in the alleyway, and they can, the police see them, and Liam sees them, so they kind of like move away. But the police, not Detective Kane, his friend, he believes that they're doing a thing called Haze. We learn about Jabari's dad, Sean Jeffrey Booker, who I talked about earlier. Love the guy. 40, just like me. Although he's 40 years in the future, 2114. And we learn that obviously Sanada could fire them if Jabari doesn't go and fight these monsters for them. They are teenage soldiers for Sanada, for NEA. We also learned that he lives at 3211 Dawn Hart, New Eden 7. We also learned that Nala Maddox, who, by the way, has been missing since January, I believe, 12th? What is it? Oh, I've got so many pages. Nala Maddox. How long have you been missing? I wrote you down. January 12th. I don't know which year. Could have been this year. Maybe 2 years ago. Well, she rejected the offer to serve as a hound. And she went missing. Jabari accepts the choice. We find out that Liam is captain of Alpha Team. He's getting a suit. That was so cool. I was like, he's getting a suit, yes. The store clerk meets someone that follows his be here. But not just that. That person that meets him is also a leaker, and he's called Dead Silence, or maybe that's his second form's name. But he worked at a cell phone place. Although they're not cell phones, they plug directly into your mind, and with thoughts, you can get whatever you want with thoughts. And then the guy next to, because they get into it, they're like, you're gonna lead him straight to me. And then the guy that was the cell phone clerk, not the store clerk, the cell phone clerk, turns into a leaker, and he says, if you want to show your loyalty or whatever to me, get rid of these two police and clean up the mess. Make sure that their mess can't even be seen. And it's in this moment that Alpha Team attacks the leaker, the monster. The mark appears on this guy's arm. Oh, we also... Okay, yeah, and that's when Chapter 5 happens, Sound Barrier. And let me take a look at that. Let me go to Chapter 5 real quick. Oh yeah, it does not look good for them. Oh my gosh. I think this is all before Chapter 5, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Chapter 5, Sound Barrier, it is the bird raising his wings like he's about to fly. So that's Corey. Oh my gosh, Corey, you're such a genius. Holy. So because Jabari is about to fly. I love it. I love it. I really need to look at what this binary means. 01010010. What does that mean? Let me look up because like every one of these chapters has different binary. Let me look up what binary translator. Okay. Text translator. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this input in here. Let's start all the way with chapter 1 because it actually has binary on it. And I'm sorry, I want to learn. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, chapter 1 doesn't have any binary? Like, no? Okay. Every chapter is about 20 or so pages. Let me look at the binary for chapter 2. Okay, there is binary here. 01101100. Convert. It just says 1. Binary to text. Paste binary numbers or drop file. Convert. I don't want it to convert. I want it to... Does it need to be something else? Binary code translator? Let's try this one. Okay. 01101100. start. Encode text to binary. No. Decode binary code to text. Okay, it's just one. Okay. That's on chapter 2, though. Or is it I? Is it an I or an L? Okay, let's try this one. For chapter 3. 011000101. Decode. E. L-E. Okay. I'm just going to add these to the top. Chapter 2 is I or L. Chapter 3 is E. I'm getting way off topic. I don't know why I'm doing this right now. I could do this some other time. I should do this some other time. I'm getting way off topic. I mean, this is already an incredibly long video anyway for me. Although we're only in chapter 5, sound barrier. Okay, let's get back into that. Sky Voice Cell is the phone store that this guy that just turned into a leaker works at. And this actually happens 1 week earlier. He gets fired because this lady is talking down to him, and he calls her dog a princess, but it's a boy, and that offends her, and so he gets fired. He goes home. His wife is nagging at him. It's like, well, if you don't have the money for rent, why even show up? He then turns into this monster, the leaker, and ends possibly his child. We don't know if it's his child or not, and the girlfriend or wife. He ends them, and then he goes into the sewers, which is very interesting because that's where they're going to go anyway. And he just wants silence. He wants to think, and he listens to a podcast, which I think is very interesting, but that comes out later. Actually, I think that's in chapter 7. Is it chapter 7? It's a podcast called Make It Make Sense with Paul R. Freemason. Paul R. Freemason. Now, is the store clerk Paul R. Freemason? Is the store clerk, what's his name? Rafi Zuri, the ex-Sanada employee, Paul R. Freemason? I don't know. I just don't know. I guess it's implied. Maybe a little bit. Kimbrick and Kane engage the monster. Kimbrick is stabbed through by the scorpion tail of the leaker, so he's gone. But Kane is just poisoned, and he's not holding up well, so he's off to the side, and then Alpha Team attacks. Allison starts the fight, and she's Alicent starts the fight. She's super fast. September immobilizes with her tail vine. Han turns on his boosters. Han and Alicent double attack. The leaker grows new arms, and this is like a second form for the leaker, and it's called Dead Silence, because he wants dead silence. So that's the name of this leaker, I think. I'm calling it Dead Silence, whatever. Corey, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but please let me know. You could also just reach out to me, whatever. I'll give you my phone number. It's not a big deal. And also the rating, like the power rating of this Dead Silence is a rank C. Can you imagine what a B, A, or an S, maybe a double S, maybe a triple S would be? What kind of monster would that be? That would be incredible. It has a second form. The Stinger is a face. The Leaker's evolving to take the attack. Jabari's sound waves incapacitate the Leaker. So Jabari, on his very first go, is able to tune to max. Remember, all of these guys have a tuning, and for him to tune to max right off the bat is insane. But he hits him with some sound. Alicent doesn't want to work with Jabari. The leader has the Leaker has aberrant qualities. Now, what are aberrations? Just abnormalities, aberrant. It's a Class C Leaker, and the suit is telling Jabari that he only has a 14% chance of survivability. That's it. Jabari is like telling his suit to shut up, but Jabari doesn't fold under pressure. He thrives in pressure. Jabari tapped into max his first go, and he uses the shockwave so powerful that it levels the entire block going down, which gives the Leaker a chance to escape. And then we find out that New Eden is built on top of the world's greatest metropolis, Eden. It's a tomb of greed and hate from the old world. Very interesting, very intricate. I love it. Getting into chapter 6, follow the leader. I put Jabari tripping because he's very cocky. He actually reminds me a lot of Naruto. But what is the picture for chapter 6? Let's go ahead and look at that picture real quick. Go ahead and get into, that's chapter 5, sound barrier. Let's get into chapter, oh gosh, Jabari's attack is so good. All that power tuning into Max's first go. It is a flying bird because now his feet aren't on the ground anymore. He's in the air flying. Love it. Corey. Alicent took out Jabari with just 20% of her power. She was able to just boom. They all want to go home. Like, Jabari wants to go home. He doesn't want to be a child soldier or, a teenage soldier for Sanada, but they all don't want to. They all have to for their families. They're all fighting for their families. I think it's so interesting is like later on when Alicent is like doing these punches against the Leaker, she's talking to her mom, and like she's trying to show her mom, was that a good one? Was that a good one? Do it again, do it again. So maybe she was taught how to fight by her mom. Oh, Jabari hates Alicent. They're in an abandoned subway. Sep and Liam try to rationalize with Jabari. We all want to go home. The team comes together just in time for Dead Silence to appear above. Jabari saves Han. They're picking up Day's SOS. So now they're finally getting close to Day, and they're getting close to his SOS. Day was a part of another group of hounds. The old city had quick escape routes for the wealthy, something about dropping whole city blocks for population control, and I put Midgar for Final Fantasy VII, because we learned that that New Eden was built on Eden, which was on its deathbed. The powers that be buried a few districts to remind people that even without light, they still had the power. This happened during the Eternal Night. They buried entire districts to let them know that they're in charge. Eden was a very rough place, and it sounds like New Eden's not any better. Oh wow, and that's straight into chapter 7? Did I miss anything? No, we're straight into chapter 7. Okay. As Above, So Below. That's actually one of my favorite horror movies, if you ever get a chance to watch it. Because it's really scary to me. It's literally one of my favorite horror movies of all time. possibly give it a chance, but we're here for Monsters We Make. And now we've got the bird who has picked up a berry, maybe, in its mouth and has come back to the branch it was on. Okay. It's found some food. The bird has found some food. Or maybe it's making a nest of its own with that twig. Okay, and we find out that Han has a virtual avatar that is like a very attractive female. And cred means follow or sub. And it's on a thing called Here Live. So kind of like TikTok. Han also has these things called ELCs, which are emergency light cubes. And they can like scan the area, let them know if like there's a leaker close or an abnormality, and also they give light. Jabari says that, you know, the suits smell like skunk or like rotten skunk meat or something like that. And Han says they call them shoots, but for whatever reason, I don't know. Okay, and then we find Day. Day is ripped up, and on the wall behind him, maybe written in his own red sauce, is the wolves have hid for far too long. The wolves have hid far too long. Show your teeth. Show your teeth. There's leaker activity. They're becoming stronger. They're becoming smarter. And then they break down the suits. His suit specifically. It has amplification modules, forearms and gloves, audio processor earpiece, directional emitters, fingertips, power source life bar on back. So like you can see if it's running down. They also can regenerate muscle. It's called like Phantom something. What is it? Phantom Surge. It literally regens your body, adrenaline, everything, and it just pumps it into you. It can regenerate maybe broken bones, but definitely muscle tissue. And then we learn about tuning. And only the people born during the Eternal Night have tuning. Jabari, born during the Eternal Night, Jabari's is tuning is sound. Han's tuning's proclivity toward gadgetry. Allison's tuning is raw power. Sep's tuning is nature. Liam's is a mystery, we don't know, but probably premonition. And you can see that a little bit with the trailer, because he's able to see like a couple steps ahead, and that's also why he pulled Jabari out from in front of the car. You know, just there's things that he can see in the future, which actually makes him an amazing leader, but maybe too amazing, because some of the things he does here call that into suspect. Maybe he has some ulterior motives. Maybe Liam isn't that great leader that we all think he is. And if your tuning is too potent, you go missing, kidnapped, abducted. Why do they call them leakers? We don't know. I think we're about to find out, and then they didn't. Allison has a nickname, Allie. Han actually has a nickname too. It's called Skiddy for skid marks, but that's the leaker stops Allison's hand with his stinger. The suit regens the body because Allison and the leaker are now fighting. The suit regens the body through Phantom Surge injection. Allison talks to her mom while fighting. Jabari saves Ali. Chapter 8, First Day Kill. Let's go ahead and get into Chapter 8's picture. I mean, all of these chapters are just absolutely amazing. You are going to love them all. And it's like 20 pages per chapter. First Day Kill. And we are looking at the bird Is it building a nest? I think it's building a nest. Okay, maybe it's building a nest. Okay. And we've got Jabari and Liam, who has pulled out a sword, and they're about to party. Party, like fight, throw down with that leaker. Liam takes out the sword. He is so fast he can't be seen. He can only be heard by Jabari because he just disappears from sight. And Liam is able to cut the leaker's arm off. The cell store worker was listening to Make It Make Sense with Paul R. Freemason, which also might be the stop shop worker Rafi Zuri, who was fired for undisclosed reasons from Sonata. Could be him. And he was listening to episode 19, They Are Not Like Us, which I immediately thought about the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef earlier. They Not Like Us. Sorry, I thought that was very interesting. But it's also like a call to like the rich are not like us normal people. We are being used by them. You know, that type of stuff. Which is true in this real world as well. And after they dispatch the monster, which Jabari does, but I'm not going to tell you how. Please go read it. I mean, obviously you use this as power, but Sanford's Street Sanitation, or sanitization, Sanford Street Sanitization cleans up the whole mess. Comes and gets the body, I think, of the detective's friend, Kimbrick. Aaron is talking to Coach Lars, maybe. I think it's Coach Lars. I don't know who Aaron is. I don't. Who's Aaron? Capsule show up to pick up the suits, and then they all meet up at Chomp Time, which is like a McDonald's restaurant. This is very interesting because, like, I grew up watching a thing called Power Rangers, and in the Power Rangers show, they would like always meet up at like this little restaurant, maybe like a diner, and they would eat like healthy foods, drink smoothies, that type thing. Get some protein in them. The team meets up. Han used to be called Skitty. They cannot talk about what they do. Double Chomp Burger, Fizzy Burst. So, they're obviously getting some hamburgers, some Double Chomp hamburgers, and some soda. And it ends with a snapshot of the whole group, including Jabari, who's the newest member of Team Alpha. They're going to go watch a movie, that type thing. But then there's a guy watching them. Also, if you're called Null Brain, it means stupid, and Sep likes wheat shreds, but so does Han. That's the whole thing. That is chapters 1 through 8, and I'm sorry, this is so good. I want to know more of the lore. I can't wait to dive into the next 8 chapters and just keep adding to this and figuring out what happened during the Endless Night. Why do they have tunings? Why? Who has the most powerful tuning? Is Jabari's like one of those super advanced tunings that we're just not ready for yet? I don't know. But I'm so enthralled. It's such a good story. What do you guys think about this? Please subscribe if you made it here 1 hour and 3 minutes into this. And please go to www.monsterswemake.com to get Coryxkenshin's masterpiece. That's what this is. It's a masterpiece. Thank you. And Corey, if you're watching this, I'm on TikTok. I'm here on Bald News. That's probably where you're watching it. Hit me up. I would love to gush about your manga. Oh, it's such a good manga. More.